Saw her uncertainty when she answered. Yes and no. All I know is what I saw. Hunter nodded. How about telling me again what you saw? He hated admitting it, but he hadn't heard a word she'd said. Instead, he had been wondering how long it would take to strip her naked, like he'd done once before when she'd come to his office unexpectedly. He would never forget how he had taken her on this very desk. And maybe it will be better if you sit down, he added, not knowing how much longer he could handle seeing the sway of her hips as she paced back and forth, wearing out his carpet, not to mention his libido. Thankfully, she nodded and took the chair across from him, but then he almost groaned when she crossed her legs, which made the already short skirt inch a little higher, showing a better glimpse of her thighs. They were thighs he used to ride, from the front, from the back, right to left, any way and every way he could. Even now he could hear in his mind the sound of flesh slapping against flesh. His attention was drawn to the gold ankle bracelet on her right ankle. He had given it to her after they had dated a couple of months. It had been a gift for her 28th birthday. He was surprised she was still wearing it, and a part of him was glad that she was. He would never forget the night he had given it to her, and how she hadn't wasted any time thanking him in some of the most provocative ways. It was definitely a pleasant memory. He shifted in his chair again and decided it would be safer to concentrate on something that was not pleasant, like going to dinner at his Aunt Judith's house that evening, where she would relentlessly remind him that he needed to settle down, get married, and have a lot of babies for her and his mother to spoil. In fact, it was his aunt's fault that he had met Mallory in the first place. Aunt Judith had convinced him that he needed to hire an event planner for his parents' 40th wedding anniversary party. He had delegated the task of finding someone to his aunt and would never forget the day she showed up at his office with Mallory in tow. The attraction between them had been quick and immediate, and his life hadn't been the same since. Hunter sighed as he brought his thoughts back to the present, and his gut clenched when Mallory nervously swept her lips with the tip of her tongue. Boy, he used to thoroughly enjoy that tongue. Forcing his mind back to the business at hand, he again prompted her. Now, what makes you think he's cheating? Because I saw him yesterday at a hotel. I was there and I saw him. Hunter raised a brow. The first question that immediately came to his mind was, why was she at a hotel? And who had she been there with? His heart began beating like a jackhammer, and he forced himself to calm down. He had no right to question what she did and with whom she did it. But still, the possibility that she'd been at a hotel with someone didn't sit too well with him. He, of all people, knew just how passionate she was. He'd had quite a few sizzling nights with her, but it was either at her place or his, never a hotel. He hoped she hadn't gotten involved with a married man. A part of him refused to believe that. One thing Mallory possessed was a high sense of what was moral, and besides, her father had relentlessly cheated on her mother, so she would never do that to another woman or herself. He cleared his throat. You were at a hotel yesterday? He asked as casually as he could. She leaned back in her chair, unaware of the chaos going on in his head. Yes, I had an appointment at the Hilton on Monroe Street. I'm planning a client's daughter's wedding and we're holding the reception there. I needed to check the location to make sure the banquet room would be adequate. He nodded his head, relieved. And while you were there, you saw your brother-in-law? He had met her sister and brother-in-law only once during their 4-month affair. From what he remembered, the man seemed to be a likable guy who was very devoted to Mallory's sister, Barbara. Barbara was 2 years older than Mallory, and if he remembered correctly, she and her husband had been married for 5 years. He also recalled Mallory once sharing with him the couple's desire to have a child, but the last he'd heard, Barbara hadn't gotten pregnant. Yes, I saw Louis, Mallory answered, breaking into his thoughts. I tried to get his attention, but he didn't see me. He was too busy trying to get on the elevator without being seen. I noted it had stopped on the 4th floor before coming back down. I went up to the fourth floor thinking